Hey there, fantasy football fanatics, and welcome to another episode of Fantasy Focus with the Three Frosted Mugs, a Fiat Entertainment Group production. I'm Rodney. Here with me are Chad.
Steven.
Hello, Chad. And Conway.
Hello, Steven.
Hello, Conway. And Matt, our producer.
What's up, guys?
Hello, Matt.
Matthew.
And Paige. Hi, Paige.
Hey, Paige.
Without the
Paige
headset
doesn't
on
get
this
a
week.
microphone.
A microphone.
But before we start, let's congratulate our winner of our Pick 3 Plus for this week. That would be Poor Broke Bastard.
Way to
For
go,
winning.
Brian.
Yeah.
That's it, Mr. Moorfield.
Mr. Brian. And you will be receiving your prize, which is a Three Frosted Mugs mug.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, and also just an honorable mention for myself. I was the highest scoring mug this week in Pick 3 Plus.
I think you cheated.
He did.
Yeah, I cheated.
You had Matt change the score for you just so you could be the top scoring mug.
I'll give you that $20 later, Matt.
Sounds good.
Silent. All right. Let's start. Let's have a little discussion about last week in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Any big disappointments that occurred? Any big surprises that happened?
My sleeper tight end, Delaney Walker.
Delaney Walker went off.
Gotta love it. If you picked him up, good job. You reaped the benefits.
I don't think Dallas will ever cover a tight end.
I swear. That's why I like who the tight end is playing him this week.
Well,
I-
great.
I had my sleepers and stuff from last week, but you stole them, Steven. I don't know what you did with my stuff.
Well, how about all the injury? I mean, how many people were mad just due to the fact of injuries?
Yeah. I mean, what was there, about 35 injuries
Yeah.
this week?
Somewhere
You
around
get
20,
Jamal-
25.
Jamal Charles, of course, week 1 was just because he didn't get the ball. Week 2, he's injured. No Sean Moreno. First carry, 4 yards. Done. I mean, it was RG3. Looked good. Looked like he was going to have a huge breakout game. And finally, they run a little read option, and he goes down.
Him and Deshaun looked like they were starting to focus on Deshaun a little bit for those down the field passes. And of course, he what did he do to his shoulder?
Dislocated, like AC
Dislocated
joint
shoulder.
or something like
Yeah.
that.
He got tired and wanted to come out.
I can tell you who's reaping the benefits because Kirk Cousins found a go-to guy, and Niles Paul.
Oh,
Talk about him a
definitely.
little
He made
later.
Niles Paul like a
Every
star.
quarterback. I mean, you play quarterback, football a little more, but every quarterback's got their go-to. They're kind of their bailout guy.
He was definitely very comfortable with Niles Paul, which was my sleeper tight end this
That
week.
is true.
I had him on there too. That was a good one.
But how'd you guys do with your fantasy teams?
I went 2-0 this week.
2-0.
I won one of my games. It's a Yahoo league, so you get the tenths and hundreds of a point. I won it by .08. So thanks
That's a
to
close
Colin
game.
Kaepernick for throwing 3 interceptions and a fumble. I think Sunday's Best appreciates that, who I beat. I think that's who it was.
I also went 2-0 this week. It was a great fantasy weekend. It's amazing to me how bright the beginning of the week looks when you win your fantasy leagues.
That's how your week's based off of.
Oh my God, I'm so happy right now. I woke up whistling Monday morning.
You go 0-2. Life sucks.
Well, and when Monday night's game means absolutely nothing in one of your leagues, it's pretty nice when it's all
Yeah.
wrapped up. So,
It's always nice.
well, let's go over the top performers of last week, position by position. Okay, let's see here. As far as QBs, we have Aaron Rodgers, Jay Cutler, and Phillip Rivers,
Phillip Rivers, big surprise.
Yeah, very big surprise.
especially facing against Seattle. Just
But you know
Didn't
what?
see that
You
coming.
know what you like about Phillip Rivers though? He's going against Seattle, and that's a challenge. Those names like that will pick up in a big game, and he's due for it. I like Phillip Rivers. I'm glad that he took it to Seattle because somebody had to.
And when we did our, when we were going over our lines in our regular show, we both picked the Chargers plus the number, but we both also said that Phillip Rivers was going to go at that defense.
Right? He
So,
did.
he
Yep.
did. He's a cowboy.
They were quotation exposed.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, when Aaron Rodgers was just nice to have him operating at par for him, pretty much.
And let everybody quit sleeping on Jordy Nelson. I mean, there's no longer put Jordy Nelson out there. Okay, he's okay. No, Jordy Nelson's the top receiver in the league.
200 yards receiving. Get out of here. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
actually, one of the top wide receiving performers, Jordy Nelson, Des Bryant, Samuel Watkins. I got a little hyphenated Brandon Marshall there, too.
Yeah, and in one of our leagues, they scored the same amount of points. So
There were some top wide receivers. Running backs, Giovanni Bernard, Darren Sproles, Niles Davis. Interesting thing about Sproles, I've heard people actually say that Sproles is just kind of meaningless.
Right. Sproles found a home in Philadelphia that's a perfect fit for each other. I
Yep.
mean, he's so fast, it's not even funny. And the stat I love, what he had, right around 150 yards receiving.
something like that.
And never caught a pass over 5 yards.
Like 145 of that was like yards
Right.
after catch.
Gotta love the yak.
But
Every
the good thing about
quarterback
him
loves
too
the yak.
is, I'm sure Anthony, you and Anthony, I'm sure there was a lot of yak.
I mean, definitely a lot of that.
But a guy like Sproles he knows his role. Mm-hmm. That's one thing about him. Wherever he's been, he's accepted his role and he's excelled at it.
All I gotta say is get him in your lineup. If it's a PPR, I mean, he's gonna catch 6 or 7 balls a game, and he's gonna break at least 2 of those.
Well, with the production of just plays that the Eagles like to do, I mean, it's plenty to go around for him and Shady.
Watching the Eagles play to me is like watching a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
fast breaks.
Well, it's one of those things where they're just waiting to go on a run, and then they go on a run, they score, and they're down by 17, and then they're up by 7. They're kind of. I hate Philadelphia, but it's fun to watch.
And in the middle of that run, you kind of wake up and you're like, well, they haven't really allowed any points during this run, so they're playing defense at the same time. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that a little later in our regular show. Mm-hmm. 3 Frosted Mugs.
Top tight ends for this past week: Jimmy Graham, Chad Sleeper, Delaney Walker, and Antonio Gates.
Yeah, how about Antonio Gates?
I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit on that because I made a big declaration that Ladarius Green was going to be much more influential than Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
I actually laughed at one of the people who took Antonio Gates, and I was wrong.
Again, everybody's got that guy. I mean, Rivers, that's his guy from a long time ago, and he's had, obviously got a little rapport with Keenan Allen, but, Antonio Gates is his guy. So. Yeah,
it was great production from all the top players we just mentioned. Disappointing starting performances. Let's start with QBs. Jake Locker.
Hey, everybody expected him to go off
Carve
against
Dallas.
defense.
It was a sleeper of this guy's over here. Conway had him as a sleeper.
Well, and for some reason they showed up. Dallas showed up and decided to tackle and decided to cover.
Now, in the last 6 quarters, Dallas defense has only given up 10 points.
I'm excited.
Little nugget.
Yeah, a little surprising. Tom Brady and Tony Romo.
Yep.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. Well, Tony Romo is disappointing from a fantasy standpoint, but
which is what this show is about.
But Dallas fans.
Hey, listen, I would love for him to have a horrible fantasy stat line every week.
But just hand it to DeMarco?
Yes.
Me too.
DeMarco had 29 rushes. I'll take that all day.
Me too. He's a running back on my team.
Who we also had.
Okay, let's see here. Where was I lost my spot. The running backs. Monty Ball, Matt Forte, and Eddie Lacy. Disappointing performances from all 3 of those gentlemen there. Mm-hmm. Matt Forte couldn't get anything going against the 49ers.
Yeah.
And
speaking of, I don't mean to cut you off, but when we were talking about running backs, 2 other real good performances, running backs, we had DeMarco Murray. I mean, you can't discount him. He got a touchdown, 160-plus yards. And we had Alfred Morris as well. I'm not sure how many yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. So both those, those guys.
Plus, I don't even think he played the 4th quarter barely.
Yeah.
I mean, once they got up, and they got scared of everyone getting injured, you didn't see him too much anymore.
Yep, so we got to mention those guys.
Mm-hmm, definitely, because they're both on my fantasy team. I have stacked teams this year. It's ridiculous.
You had a stacked team for week 2.
You had a stacked team. Okay. Wide receivers. Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, I'd never pick him.
Alshon Jeffrey and Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, a little disappointing. I mean, a couple of the guys, even throw in there Michael Floyd. I'd picked him. Of course, you don't expect Carson Palmer. Well, I guess he was kind of 50-50. Hopefully he wouldn't play him with Drew Stanton coming in, not really having a lot of work. Reggie Wayne was a little disappointing. Thought he would have a little better week like him this week. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And Cordero Patterson, right now with Castle, it's kind of like, all right, which Matt Castle is going to show up? Mm-hmm. The bad one or the worst one?
And we didn't put this guy on there, but I would like to just make an honorable mention for disappointment. Torrey Smith, disappointing. They're going to, I think he had like maybe 6 passes thrown to him. It looks like he can't catch up with his own self. He keeps falling over his own feet.
Careful, though. He's from Stafford. We might be able to get him on the show.
That is true.
I
root for him. I want him to do better. You're on my team, Torrey. Put it together. Come on.
Well, they have more weapons there, too, so it's...
No, I know that. But it's not like they're not going to him. You know what I mean? That's not the problem. And yes, it's great he got a pass interference call, ended up getting the Ravens up near the goal line, but still, that doesn't help me at all per fantasy. All right. Tight ends. Disappointing tight end starts. Jason Witten and Colby Fleener.
I definitely thought Fleener was going to have, so far, these first couple weeks, I thought he would be better than that, what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Jason Witten, I've kind of expected that. I've said that from the beginning. He's going to have glimpses of his old self, but, quote, he's old. It's... Plus, when you're running the ball, he's not going to get a lot of balls thrown his way.
And we're going to have to start, keeping him off this list because, the expectations are kind of low, so you won't be really disappointed. So the only list that he really make is a top performer if he does have a big week, because it's not going to be that disappointing because you're not really expecting a whole lot at this point.
Yeah, so don't go with starting Jason Witten if you have better options.
At this point, he's definitely just a guy to stash on your bench. I mean, you got to stash him because you never know. With Dallas, who knows? I mean, they can start throwing it 60
sleeper.
times just like that. It could be.
Okay. Well, that covers our disappointing and our top performers from last week. Let's move into this coming week. Let's see. Let's start with Chad.
All right, we're gonna go. We'll start at quarterback.
We're gonna start with QB.
All right, I like Tom Brady. I mean, I like that he's playing a terrible Raider team. So your dream of the Raiders doing something this year, you can probably go ahead and forget about that.
That's over.
Like Tom Brady a lot. Like the guy you liked last week, like Cam Newton playing at home. Didn't have a great game against Detroit. Pittsburgh's got a good defense, but I mean, it's a night game. You know, it's the Sunday night game. I like Cameron Newton to do a little showcasing. Russell Wilson. I think we're going to see. That's a 425 game that everybody can't wait to see. Denver at Seattle. Look for a lot of points. Like Russell Wilson to be responsible for a lot of them as well.
Hopefully we won't see a replay of the Super Bowl on that one.
I'll cry.
Yeah. All right, Conway, let me hear your... Oh, wait, did we do your sleepers already?
No, sleepers. Thursday night, I like Josh McCown at the Falcons. Falcons, I mean, after week one, I mean...
Josh McCown? I mean, that's a deep, deep sleeper.
Deep sleeper. I like it, though.
That's like comatose.
And I like Joseph Flacco. Like you got Torrey to have a big game as well. They're going at Cleveland. Typically that game is low. It's a division game. I look for this game to be a lot of points, and I like Joe Flacco, a little sleeper.
Nice. All right. Conway, let's move over to you. Let me hear your top QBs.
My top for the week is Andrew Luck going against Jacksonville because it's Jacksonville. I mean, if Redskins going to score 41 points on them, then
why can't the Colts, right?
Why can't the Colts? My second one is Tony Romo. I don't see Jason Garrett sticking with the run like he should. We get scored on first, or Dallas gets scored on first, he's going to abandon the run early because that's his MA. So all I know is
his MO.
His MO. It's his mom.
It's his mom.
It's his mom. So my third quarterback, Cam Newton, he'll be on my list every week because he's going to be a stud in every game. And like you said, you put him on national TV, I think he's going to have a little bit something to show. He wants to be one of those top-known quarterbacks, and to me, Carolina's one of the best teams in the league right now, all around.
You like him because he's big on Superman. Aren't you big on Superman?
Yeah. He is Superman.
He is Superman. Let me hear your sleepers.
My sleepers for the week is Kirk Cousins going into Philadelphia.
Wow. That might not be a sleeper after too long. He might be on your top performer list.
I'm interested to see what he's going to do. He got the ball out of his hands quickly. I'm interested to see what their offense is going to look like altogether. That's why I'll leave him as a sleeper, because they've played Jacksonville and they've played Houston. So, really, I mean, what do you got him to judge against? I mean, not that much.
Yep.
So, then my other sleeper is Kaepernick against Arizona.
Really?
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
Got to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, you hope so. I mean, the defense of Arizona is pretty stout, though, right?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Of course, my Cardinals 2-0, leading the division. Love it.
I'm sure we'll get more into that in our regular show. All right, top running backs, Chad.
Top running backs, I like Nile Davis. They're going to Miami. Miami plays really tough at home, but I think they're going to utilize Nile Davis a lot. This guy will probably be on my list just about every week. I actually disagree with you about Dallas abandoning the run. I think Dallas is just, they're going to give DeMarco Murray all he can handle in the running game.
We hope.
Exactly. So I like that. I mean, even though Rams have a pretty good defense, I like DeMarco Murray to do work. Arian Foster. Like Arian Foster to have a big game. They're playing the Giants. I don't need to say anything else.
They're the new doo-doo team.
God,
the Browns,
terrible.
I can't no longer say you're doo-doo. It's the Giants. They're doo-doo.
Okay, what about your sleepers? We were talking about that? No?
Sleepers. Pierre Thomas. I like Pierre Thomas to have a big game against the Vikings. They're going to do work in the pass. They're going to do work in the run. They're just going to do work on Minnesota. Chris Ivory. I think I had Chris Johnson as my sleeper last week, so I don't know why I'm picking the Jets running back to be my sleeper. But it's
Geno Smith's throwing the ball, so somebody's got to run it.
Exactly. So he's splitting carries, but he's got all the touchdowns in the backfield right now. playing that Bears defense. It's a Monday night game. I think it's going to be an exciting game.
Okay. And let's see, Conway.
I got a lot of the same running backs you do. Two of them, DeMarco Murray and Arian Foster, both of those. Pretty much the same reason. I'm hoping that they stick with the run in Dallas. Arian Foster he looks like he has something to prove this year. I mean, he does. And again, they got Fitzpatrick throwing the ball, so hand the ball off. And my other one is LaShawn McCoy. He should be on everybody's list, and maybe I shouldn't put him on here, but I mean, how hard is that boy to tackle? I mean, it's just in the open field is just dangerous, and that offense just dangerous. It's fantasy studs all over top the place in Philadelphia because they're going to put up points no matter what. You're not going to be able to stop that game and that team the whole game, and you're going to have to score over 20 points to beat them. I mean, I can't see them having a game where they don't score at least 24 points.
They remind me a lot of the Rams,
right?
The Kurt Warner, the Torrey Holt, the Marshall Faulk.
It's one of those things where, what was that called? The turf show?
Greatest show on turf.
The greatest show on turf. And no one caught up with that. And once everybody catches up with this, it's going to be a little bit different. But to me, it's hard to stop a vertical game where you throw in screens and you got somebody like that can take a break and whatchamacallit comes in there.
There's weapons everywhere.
Yeah, it's unheard of. I wish they weren't in the NFC East. But so my sleepers this week is Eddie Lacy against the Lions and Niles Davis, one that you liked. I like him as a sleeper.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into wide receivers.
Wide receivers. This guy, I had him on my list last week. I mean, they're playing Jacksonville. The same reason you like Andrew Luck. I think he had 3 catches for like 40 yards last week. Reggie Wayne, like for him to have a big game. Julian Edelman. Again, they're playing the Raiders. They're at home playing the Raiders. I don't need to say more. And I'm going to leave Jordy Nelson off because I think we've gotten past I think he's on that elite level where he's a must start. Mm-hmm. Well, this guy is too as well, but I like Randall Cobb. He gets a lot of work. They throw the ball a lot. He gets a lot of red zone work. Catches touchdowns, does work. Now I'm going deep sleeper on this one right here. Riley Cooper. One of my favorite picks of the week is the Eagles to cover a touchdown on Washington. I like Riley Cooper to actually finally be a part of the game just because there's going to be a lot of focus elsewhere. Washington has a decent defense. Then I like Anquan Bolden. You like Kaepernick? I think it's going to be a lot of Kaepernick to Bolden.
Nice. Okay. And
I like Jeremy Maclin. Like I said, I like Philly to cover too, and I could see Maclin ending up with a couple touchdowns for the day. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say Victor Cruz. I want to see him come back.
But they're gonna be down by a lot, so they're probably gonna be throwing
so he could end up with 11 or 12 catches because Eli will probably end up throwing the ball 45 times. And I like Larry Fitzgerald
going against the 49ers. Had him on your list last week.
Yeah. My sleepers this week, I like Calvin Benjamin again. He's coming. He's coming. Trust me, he's coming.
You're his biggest fan.
I am, and he's a big addition. I know he didn't put up a lot of fantasy points this week, but the praise is coming all over from Carolina. Cam Newton loves him, and once the quarterback falls in love with a big old receiver like that, it's the best thing to do.
That's it.
And Sammy Watkins against the Chargers. I think he's going to be a fantasy stud. Buffalo's playing a lot better. EJ Manuel's playing a lot better than I thought he would play. And Sammy Watkins is one of those players I think is going to be just a special guy. You put the ball in his hands and stuff's going to happen.
The 2-0 division leading Buffalo Bills?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's move it along here. Tight ends.
Tight end, this guy was on my list last week. Niles Paul, I think he was my maybe
he was your
sleeper. Yeah. So like him. Kirk Cousins, think he's found a little go-to guy he likes. Delaney Walker, he was my sleeper last week, went off. I like for him to have a big game. Tennessee is playing at the Bengals. The Bengals have a good defense. They're going to be looking to get the ball out quick. Might as well dump it to your tight end. And Larry Donnell, not sure how you say it. Eli's going to be needing to get the ball off quick, so I think he's going to be, like you said, they're going to be hitting Victor Cruz quick, hitting the tight end. Sleepers, Charles Clay. Like Charles Clay I think he had 7 catches, but for only like 31 yards.
Yeah.
PPR league didn't hurt you too bad. Look for him to have a good game this week. And Zach Ertz.
I like it.
I think a lot of people's going to get in that game for Philly against Washington.
They both had an opportunity to score more points, but I think both had drop passes, few drop passes, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely opportunity there. Conway.
I got one same as yours, Niles Paul. See him having a big game, just comfortable with Kirk Cousins. Could see that being a good matchup for him this week. I like Greg Olson going into Pittsburgh.
Love Carolina.
Yep. And I like Martellus Bennett this week versus the Jets.
Okay, yeah.
And my sleepers this week is Jared Cook against Dallas, because if you're going to let the tight end Delaney Walker catch 10 balls, why shouldn't Jared Cook catch about 8? And I'm going to go with Jason Witten. He may not have a bunch of catches this week, but I could see him getting in the end zone this week. Maybe a bigger game than what expected. He's due for a game that he's going to catch about 6 or 7 balls and get in the end zone. If they keep running the ball, that's going to help him out a lot.
Yep, it's going to open up a lot of
So you were
opportunity.
foreshadowing earlier when you said he might be a sleeper. You meant he is your sleeper this week.
Correct.
Yes. All right, real quick, defense, top defense and a sleeper.
Top defense, the Bengals. They're playing at home against Tennessee. I look for the Bengals to come out with a lot of intensity, play tough. This team's not really a sleeper, but I can't leave them out because they're playing at home against the Raiders. Bill Belichick defense going against a rookie quarterback. I like the Patriots defense. So basically, those are going to be my top 2 defense.
Okay. Conway?
My defense this week is the Colts. They're playing Jacksonville. I mean, he just got sacked 73 times on Sunday. I'm sure there's a few more sacks left out there to take from them. And my sleeper defense is the Kansas City Chiefs this week.
Who do they face off against?
Kansas City is playing
At Miami.
Yeah, they're at Miami. I mean, they just went to Denver and held them to 24 points?
Yeah.
And I think most of that was in the first half. So
Yeah, they had
I see them tightening up a little bit better this week against Miami. I'm not sold on week 2. I always say tells you a lot more. I'm not sold on Miami just yet, like everybody else. I just broke my pen.
I'd noticed that. You broke your pen in half.
I hate talking about Miami.
I mean,
so
obviously. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us today. So take our information, use it to your benefit. If you have any questions about who you should start or sit on your fantasy team, please feel free to post them on our Facebook page, or you can tweet us at 3 Frosted Mugs, and that's frosted with no vowels. FRSTD.
Pick 3 plus.
And you can go on your Pick 3 Plus. Make sure you do that before this coming week to pick your Pick 3. And again, just a reminder what that is. It's 3 QBs, 3 running backs, 3 offensive teams, the top scoring game of the week, and a tiebreaker score for the last game of the week. And you can try to win prizes and a grand prize at the end of the season. Big grand prize.
Yep.
Definitely check us out at www.3frostedmugs.com to play. And thank you. Tune in next week for Fantasy Focus with the 3 Frosted Mugs. A big thank you to AJ Studios for the post-production and graphics work. And until next time, trust your gut and never tinker.